choices is Lenorchus sinensis, which is a liver fluke. That would make sense. You don't want to pick a lung fluke for liver symptoms. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you just know the common names, that kind of helps. If you got a liver fluke, 2 lung flukes, and a tapeworm, and you got liver symptoms, I would pick the liver fluke. I mean, I'm just saying. That I said they meet the chart starting on page 78. There is kind of a matching section where it's going to give characteristics, and it's going to be like which amoeba goes with this. So like Entamoeba histolytica, if one of our choices is has ingested red cells, those match. If it has a centrally located karyosome, that matches with a couple of things.
Yeah.
What histolytica, Hartmanni, matches with both of those. If it has an eccentric karyosome, where that little dot is off center, that's Entamoeba coli. So there's a little matching section in that. Pretty much will all be covered off those 2 charts on page 78. I think it's later, 1 point apiece. Know how you catch different parasites and know the disease names. So, what's the causative agent for Chagas disease?
Wait, the causative agent.
It's something cruzi. Trypanosoma cruzi causes Chagas disease. How do you get it?
Mosquitoes.
Oh.
Well, oh no, the kissing bug?
Kissing bug, the reduvid beetle. It likes to bite people by the eye. Yeah, it bites you and then poops in the hole and stomps it down in the hole.
Yep.
How do you get ascaris? Eating dirt. What tends to go along with ascaris? There are 2 of those worms that almost go together because they're both found in soil, and you can get both of them from eating dirt. That's why it's found in children and in the mentally challenged.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to look that one up. One of the organisms we talked about had an egg that was immediately infected. Didn't have to go through any kind of intermediate host, anything like that. It's immediately infected.
The egg.
The egg is. Pinworm? Pinworm, good. That's why people that get pinworms, you can keep them for years because it'll auto reinfect. As soon as it lays that egg, it reinfects you. It's immediately infected. Doesn't require any kind of intermediate host. A lot of these do require an intermediate host, especially like the schistosomes. What do they require as an intermediate host? Snails. Somebody's got to poop in the water, snail eats it, larva leaves the snail. And how do you get the schistosomes?
Just swimming.
Eating.
Just swimming.
Yeah.
Those little cercaria, the larvae or whatever, can just penetrate the skin.
Yeah.
And just swim straight into it. But it requires that snail. No snails in the water, no schistosomes. Tapeworms. Somebody describe for me the egg of Hymenalepsis dama.
Is that just like,
Has that?
or does it have like the chicken where it has the egg? I don't know.
That's one that has the polar knobs and it looks like a little flagella coming out of each end.
It's too early for this.
What about different tapeworm? Tania saganata.
15 to 30 uterine branches.
The egg.
indistinguishable from sodium? Wagon wheel,
Yeah. Radial striations,
hooklets, inside?
if you look closely, sometimes you can see 3 pair of hooklets. This outer shell is, if you stain it, is usually stained dark, kind of brownish, real thick. Radial striations all the way around. Cannot tell Taenia saginata from Taenia solium based upon this. If you can find a proglotid or maybe the scolex, you can tell them apart. They have different numbers of uterine branches, and the scolex is completely shaped different. Remember, one of them's the arm, the one that has the spines, and the other one's just flat-headed.
Yeah.
The other tapeworm, the fish tapeworm. What does its egg look like? Huh? It looks like an egg.
Is that the one that has a little capsule thing on the top that pops
That's
open?
all we need.
We got the little
Which one is the one with like the chicken, like the?
Yeah, it's got that. Yeah, the thing that
Is it
pops
that
off.
Percolated that. Here's one more.
Doesn't it have a little circle at the bottom? I remember that one.
It does have a terminal knob. It is an operculated egg.
Percolated.
It has the lid. So it is totally different from our other tapeworms. These are basically round. We have 2 that are just alike. Nana's a little bit different. And then Diphyllobothrium latum is like not even close to the other 2. But it does have an operculated egg with a terminal knob. If it's confused for anything, it'll be confused for this one.
Because that one has the little knobs on the top.
What egg is that?
Westermani?
Huh?
Westermani?
Yes, Paragonymous westermani. Thickened shell at this end. Very slight shoulders, and I probably overdrew these. It has very slight shoulders up here. And depending on how you're looking at it, these 2 can look similar because they are similar size. Difference is
That one.
shoulder knob, and if you look really, really closely, it does have very, very slight shoulders. Large egg, very, 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 very faint operculum. Any ideas?
This guy?
Maybe. There's one other one that can be
Hepatica?
indistinguishable eggs. Fasciolopsis buski, Fasciola hepatica. Completely indistinguishable, but it is a large egg, no knob, very faint operculum. Which one? Which egg looks like that? Wavy edges.
I don't remember that one at all.
Ascaris. Remember, this is the one that had a difference for the unfertilized eggs. Where there's like, this is just like indistinguishable garbage. This one actually looks like it has like a nucleus in it. Unfertilized ascaris egg, fertilized ascaris egg. As far as schistosomas, we're going to use this as a schistosoma now. Which one's that?
The man's son.
Which one?
Say
The man's son.
Charles Manson? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Charles Manson carried a big knife.
yeah,
That helps you remember.
that's good, that's a good one. I can't say these things, man.
Terminal spike,
It's the hay.
Hematobium.
Hematobium.
What about the one that's just like, maybe like that?
Remember
That's
Japan,
compared
you
to
said.
Charles Manson carrying this big knife. Japanese people carry little bitty knives.
Japonicum?
Yeah. Think of it like that. Charles Manson carries a big knife. Japanese dude carries a little knife. I don't know what you gotta do to remember this one. Whatever works for you.
Needle. It's gonna take your blood. This is him. Hemato.
Which one did I say was Colonel Spargo's favorite?
Oh, that one was a funny one.
You said it looked like a baby bird.
No, I said, she always said it looked like a mouse.
Oh, it looked like a mouse, but you said it didn't look like a mouse.
So Anorcus sinensis. More importantly to remember, Chinese liver fluke. Why? Because again, if I give you something with liver symptoms, helpful to know that's a liver fluke. If I give you somebody with lung symptoms, it might be helpful to know which one's a lung fluke. Yeah.
That one has a terminal knob or no?
Oh yeah. Usually you can't see it. Very small.
Sinensis.
So Anorcus sinensis. Once we get out of the worms, and we got into the amoebas and the flagellates and all that, there are two organisms that we discussed that did not have a cyst stage. They are not found in cyst form. If you have your book, turn to the back cover.
I don't have the back cover.
Back cover.
So it's the histolytica. No. There's trichomonas vaginalis.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, it's both of these.
Some pages of blanks.
Change the book. We don't see that chart anywhere.
You want this?
That's the old
vaginalis,
book. These are the new books. They have them.
And Diantamoeba fragilis.
So yeah, you're right.
Man, this one got word searches and crosswords in it. I forgot about that.
You gonna go to your office and do them?
This was my book as a student. I've already done it. Yeah, there.
Okay, trichomonas vaginalis does not have a cyst.
Does not have a cyst form. Diantamoeba fragilis does not have a cyst form. Ready. So if I give you a case study or something similar where you're examining somebody and you found a cyst of an organism and one of your options was Diantamoeba fragilis, that is not the answer.
Roll it.
Don't circle that.
I'm not going to. I said that.
As far as the tapeworms, you definitely do need to be able to differentiate them based upon the probiotics, the uterine branches, skull X appearance. The hookworms. We talked about two hookworms and we said eggs are completely indistinguishable. Real pretty eggs though, by the way. How can you tell them apart?
Does one of them have some
Remember the
sort
one
of
that had the
nucleus?
cutting plates and the other one had vampire teeth?
Yeah.
Of course, you can't see that with a regular microscope, but I might give you a picture of one or the other anyway and tell you to identify it.
I'm trying to get a check what he's talking about.
Question.
Yo,
Would that be like a difference between a new world hookworm and an old world hookworm?
yes.
Okay.
Babesia versus malaria, they look extremely similar because they both have ring-form parasites in the red cells. How do you tell them apart? Babesia will have tetrad forms as well, Maltese cross forms. Malaria will not. They will be in a ring form period. As far as the malarials, telling them apart, it's very difficult to do, but each one does have some sort of a distinctive characteristic, and that is on that parasite guide. For vivax, falciparum, ovale, and malariae. And you notice on the chart, on the next page, I circled the distinguishing characteristics, and I drew a line through Plasmodium knowlesi, because I don't care about knowlesi. No lesson on knowlesi. Mainly because Plasmodium knowlesi looks way too much like Plasmodium malariae, and it's less common than malariae, so we don't try to distinguish those. It's like, as far as distinguishing characteristics, if I gave you a patient with malaria who had a schizont with 12 to 24 merozoites in it, you should be able to tell which one that is, based on just on that chart.
Vivax?
Yes, Vivax. Vivax is also notorious for having weird looking little red cell inclusions. What are those inclusions called? Shoot those dots. It's hard to see. They usually don't look real pretty. Like occasionally you can see it. It just looks granular. It's not like dotted up, heavy like say a basophil would be. It's just like a speckled red cell. But it's more intense than like basophilic stippling. Yeah.
Are these shooting dots going to be present in all of the malaria?
No, they are not. But if they're present at all, it's Vivax, because none of the rest of them do that. Which one has the banana-shaped gametocyte?
Falciparum?
Yes. That's the one where the mature, sexually active plasmodium will have the banana shape floating around in the red cell. Carl Spargo's husband, he was a med tech in the Vietnam War. Well, there's a lot of malaria in Vietnam. And he, according to Carol, had got to the point he had seen so much of it that when he would see the gametocytes, he could tell if he was looking at a male or a female gametocyte. There are very subtle differences. You'd have to see a lot of malaria to be able to do that, but even in the Vietnam War, he probably did. Actually, we've got a slide in there of a malarial slide that he made in Vietnam.
Oh,
Because I called Carol after I took the shop because I was going through all these slides looking at them. I said, this one says edge malaria. Did you have malaria? She said, no, he made that in Vietnam. Yeah, that's kind of cool. As far as common names, which organism is the beef tapeworm? Saganata. Which one is the fish tapeworm?
D-laden?
Diphlobothrium latum, yes. Is Diphlobothrium latum a nematode, a cestode, or a trematode?
A cestode?
It is a cestode. Remember, nematodes, roundworms. Cestodes, tapeworms. Trematodes are your flukes. When we're talking about roundworms, we're talking about pinworms, whipworms, ascaris, all those. We talked about two different worms that like to invade your eyeball.
Oh yeah, they squiggle around.
Loa, by far the most common. There's another one. Onchocerca volvulus. Remember that's the one called blinding filaria? And Loa Loa is the eye worm. If you're doing an exam on someone and you see an amoeba with ingested red cells, we already said which one that is? Histolytica. Is that always pathogenic or only if they're like immunocompromised or what?
Always.
It is always a pathogen. That is reported no matter what.
Aren't the other ones, all three, the other ones are communal?
Commensal.
Commensal, sorry.
The other ones are now they could, if someone immunocompromised enough, they could cause problems, but they're not always pathogenic. Very rarely pathogenic, even in the immunocompromised. But if you see that one with ingested red cells, that's an automatic report. I don't care what the patient history is or what kind of shape they're in. That is a pathogen. That's gonna cause problems for anyone. Which organism is spread by beavers?
Oh, beaver fever.
Giardia?
Giardia. It's called beaver fever. Also called traveler's diarrhea, which is confusing because so is E. coli. As far as the worms, what's the most common worm infection in the U.S.? Pinworm. I guess if you all talk to your parents long enough, there's a couple people in this room that have had them. They tell me I had them when I was about 2. I don't know.
We've had everything though.
I think I probably have. Sleeping sickness.
Oh, the one that puts you in a coma.
There's 2 different subspecies that cause that. They're both trypanosomas. What are the subspecies names? Rhodiants and gambians. How are they spread?
Mosquito.
Wrong.
No, fun.
The tsetse fly.
Is that the one?
Huh?
Common name, wasn't it? But that's
No, it's just a tsetse fly.
Oh.
So you got 3 trypanosomas. 2 of them spread by tsetse flies. 1 of them spread by the reduvid beetle. Another organism that looks kind of similar to trypanosomes is leishmaniasis. Remember, you tell it apart because it has the long flagella off of its butt. What spreads that?
Not the beetle that lays by their face.
No.
Sand flies. Babesia, how do we get it? Remember that's the one that can be found in Arkansas? You can get it right along with Lyme's disease. It's fairly common in Arkansas. Toxoplasma gondii. Cats. There's multiple ways that a person can catch this. Direct ingestion, number 1. Eating contaminated meat, number 2. What's the 3rd?
Bite?
Well, the mice can carry it, but
Yeah, getting a bite from something?
in utero. Remember, that's the one that can cross the placenta. You can either eat it directly or indirectly,
Just gonna sit here.
or cross the placenta and get it in utero.
So does the mother actually not get it, it's just passed to the baby?
Oh, she's got it too.
Okay.
But the problem is, she'll probably survive, the baby probably will not. So the mouse can act as a spreading agent. It can pick it up and carry it around the house or whatever. But you either eat the cyst directly, eat the cyst in undercooked meat or something, or get it in utero. So like if a tick bites your cat and then jumps off and comes and bites you, you're not gonna get this. That's not how this works. It requires some form of ingestion or in utero transmission. Because this is the one that's really small and it can cross the placenta. It's also the one that can be found in virtually any body fluid. Think about it, if it's small enough to cross the placenta, it can go anywhere. You might see this in urine, spinal fluid, bone marrow, whatever. What's the best way to diagnose pinworms?
Scotch tape.
Wait till the middle of the night, put a piece of tape on their butt. But it's kind of weird that pinworms are nocturnal. But since they live inside the rectum, how do they know if it's daytime or nighttime?
I don't know.
Who's guessing?
I think it just has to do with when the child gets still and calm and not moving. Maybe that's when but they come out at night. So ease the diaper down if your kid's complaining of itchy butt, ease their diaper down at midnight or whatever and touch them in the booty hole with a piece of Scotch tape. Send it to your doctor. Or since you're gonna be lab techs, take it to work, put it on a slide.
How are you supposed to do that and not wait for your kid?
Who cares if you wake them up, as long as you get the tape first.
Be ready.
Be ready. As long as you get the piece of tape, who cares at that point if they wake up, you can put them back to sleep. So again, the exam, 27 questions worth 64 points. There is only one where you've got to write the answers. All multiple choice, except for a matching section about the amoeba starting on page 78. And there's one where you actually have to write the answers. Everything else is multiple choice.
Basically about those guys,
But double check.
whether they have.
Matching, fill in the blank, multiple choice, multiple choice, multiple choice. That one actually didn't used to be multiple choice, but it is now. I changed it. I changed the test quite a bit yesterday, actually, because there was a couple of places like, Your practical, and what we're gonna do here in just a second, we're gonna go in the lab. I've got dozens of slides. Get a slide, start looking for the organism. When you find it, let your classmates see it. Do as many slides as you like, because you have no idea which ones I'm gonna pick to be on your practical. Practical is gonna be just like hematology. We're gonna be in here on paper with about 12 pictures. You're gonna do those, you're gonna go from here, in there, and there'll be 3 to 4 scopes set up. So that's why it's to your advantage to look at as many of these slides as possible. Some of them are very, very difficult to find. I will warn you in advance. It's gonna take a brave soul to look for malaria. I'll promise you. Some of them, like the Giardia one, there's Giardia everywhere, but it takes a lot of looking to find a good Giardia. So, but then most of the rest, a lot of the rest of them are like fairly easy to find. I'm not even gonna ask you to attempt to find the hookworm egg, because as Britt knows, that whole slide, there's one egg. And he knew exactly where it was when we took a picture on the digital scope, so I'm gonna bring that up, we're not looking for it. Safe to say, that one is not gonna be on your practical. I'm not looking for that egg. So we come on in the lab, you need to pee or whatever, go pee. Because the rest of this is kind of y'all's time. I'm gonna break out these slides, y'all start looking. If you need help finding something or getting it in focus, I'll be happy to help. Yes?
When we're taking the practical, will we have to search as well?
No,
Okay.
no, I will have something in field and say identify basically.
Because I don't have these.
Get my watch on.
We're still like that.